Hi everyone, my name is Courtney. I write under the pen names Lyra Parish, and I'm one half of the USA Today best-selling duo Kennedy Fox, and today is Monday, which means it is time for another Q&A Monday. I feel like I need some kind of like jingle here. But anyway, it is Monday. This is the 10th or 11th episode. I believe maybe it's the 11th, and I'm so excited to bring this series back to you. While watching this, if you're like, man, I really want to ask a question, there is a link in the description box down below where you can submit any question that you'd like. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with these questions. I've got a lot of new ones. Thank you very much. And we're still working on the old ones, so I'm going to skip around. So the first question comes from Belle. And it says, how do you and Brooke plan your publishing schedule each year for Kennedy Fox? Do you aim for a certain number of books to release or to finish a series, etc. in the year? No, we don't have a specific number of books. We know that we can handle 6 books pretty easily. Sometimes we, just get overly motivated and think that we can handle 8 books, which is what happened in 2021. And, but that's not typical for us. I think 6 or 7 books is our sweet spot. We have a lot going on in 2022. While our writing schedule is a little bit less, our goal is to get caught up for 2023. One of those things that I have been talking about for years, and me and Brooke are going to really try to be a few books ahead, so then we're not like writing deadline to deadline, because that can get stressful. But overall, the answer is no. We just kind of like look at what we need to finish, how many books we promised that we were going to write in series, and find places to plug those into. And then if we randomly get motivated, we have space to add books that we want to write. Like the Love in Isolation series, that was never really planned. It was just kind of like, hey, let's add a new book series to our list, and Brooke asked me if I would be down for it, and of course I'm always like, yeah, let's do it. Releasing less gives us the ability to plan for the future, but yeah, there's not really anything ever set in stone as far as X amount of books or finishing these series. The next question comes from Joanna, and it says, how often do you check your book statistics? I just released my first romance short yesterday, and it feels like I'm glued to the KDP Reports website. So we are signed up for a service called Book Tracker, and they send us an email once a day for the previous day's sales, and that's all I look at. We're on all websites for us to like get a full snapshot of what's going on without going to Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Draft to Digital, and then trying to compile all that information. It's a lot to deal with. Book Tracker basically does all that. And also, if I want to see a snapshot of the month to see like where we are as far as royalties, I'll go into Book Tracker like once a week and check it for the month or for the week or whatever it is. But for me, it's definitely not a every day I'm refreshing. Usually that email does it for me, and then, like I said, I'll go into Book Tracker and like pull different historical data and stuff like that, just because I'm curious and my brain loves numbers. I think that's a habit that you will eventually break out of. I know when I was a newer author, I was constantly refreshing KDP Dashboard, my rank, my Goodreads, so I could check reviews. And I realized that I needed to create healthy boundaries because I was obsessing about it. So I don't do that anymore. Okay, this question comes from Courtney. Double E's, not N-E-Y. But hey, your name is awesome. She asks, I'm working on the second draft of my first book and brainstorming my next one. Ideally, I'd like to publish 3 books a year. I don't want to publish the first book until I've got the next 2 planned. As a self-published author, how do you or how would you recommend a new author plan their business for the first year? I was really bad when I first started publishing and let my shiny object syndrome take hold. So I wish, if I could go back in time, that I would have completely plotted out all of the books and then started writing. My problem back then is I was not a plotter. I was a pantster. So I think that if you want to publish 3 books, then you have to give yourself enough time to write and edit those books. My best suggestion is to figure out how long it's going to take you to do rewrites, how long it's going to take you to get it into an editor and edited, and then also proofread and then formatted and all those things. And then from there, decide when you should start publishing, I think it's really smart to plan. Like if I could go back in time, I would not have released my first book until I had all 3 of them written. I think what's going to be your best bet is coming up with a timeline on how long it's going to take you to get the full package. If you are a plotter, like plan out the series, and then there won't be any of those things where you're like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get myself out of this trap that I created? How am I gonna dig myself out of this hole? Because that happened to me, along with me letting bad reviews affect me. Like it just completely stunted my creativity. When we go to start our 2023, our goal is to have like books plotted beforehand and books ready to go beforehand, because it makes it a lot less stressful. Like to me, it's very stressful to try to write to meet a deadline as compared to having the books done and just waiting for the deadline to come. So yeah, that's where I would start. So the next question comes from Gabrielle, and it is, how do you reach new readers? Do you find that with each new book release that new readers discover Kennedy Fox? It's putting yourself out there. Facebook ads help. Being active on social media helps. Having your current readers, who are your core, talking about your books to others and posting in groups and like just sharing your work. Being on TikTok is helpful, but don't be on TikTok so much that you're not writing. Newsletter swaps help. Also things like BookBub really helps you find new readers. And absolutely yes, every single time that we release a new book, we get messages and comments like, oh my God, where have I been? I just started reading Kennedy Fox and stuff like that. So you think when you're in this industry and you're releasing books that it's just a small pond. But then when you actually get out there and you're putting yourself out there and you're putting your books out there and people constantly say they've never heard of Kennedy Fox before and this is the first time they're reading our books, it's like, wow, it's not a pond. It's actually a vast ocean and we've only touched the very edge of it. Social media is going to be king when it comes to reaching new readers, regardless if that is you using paid advertisement, reaching new readers that way, or you spending your time on Instagram or TikTok or on Facebook or wherever it is that you like to hang out. When we release a new book, we always see a boost in our backlist because people will read this book. It might be the first time they've ever heard of us and then they're like, oh, well, I want to see what else they have. And we have a backlist that's like 30 plus books strong. So there's a lot of different series for them to jump into and in different places for them to start our series. The best advertisement is releasing another book, but also being active on social media and using paid advertisement. The next question comes from Denise. And it says, do you ever feel uncomfortable writing such graphic sex scenes? My ideas and stories are very erotic, but sometimes I feel weird putting those things into words on the page. I have a healthy appreciation for sex and am not prudish or judgy. Do your thing. But the idea of people reading those words gives me pause. Was this a problem for you? And if so, how did you work through it? Love your channel. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You have inspired me more than you knew. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Denise, I would say that it was awkward at first. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to write under a pen name, because I didn't want people to go and look up Courtney Young and find these extremely erotic sex scenes and then want to talk to me about them, because I live in the South and people like to talk. And so I was very hesitant, but after I started writing under a pen name, I was like, I don't care. I'm not telling people that it's me behind it, so it doesn't really matter. It gave me the ability to put my ideas and my thoughts, regardless if they were naughty scenes or not, out into the world. And I felt like I wasn't limited by my worry of what other people would think because I used a pen name. Now, I don't care. Like, you read the scenes, you got something to say, oh well, I don't care. Like, if it's not your thing, then it's not your thing. But if it is, congratulations, it is a lot of people's thing. Not that you're hiding behind it, but it felt like, for me, a type of shield, that I was protected, that my thoughts and my ideas and my naughty scenes weren't going to be judged by people who knew me in real life. And it encouraged me to just write whatever it is that I wanted to write. When I was new, it was one of the things that really kind of like made me think, am I really gonna write romance? Like, what are people gonna think? But as I have settled down in my career, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks, whether it's people in my real life or people on the internet. I think that comes with time and with confidence in what you're writing. And this too shall pass. You will get over that. Trust me. I would say try a pen name. If you have a bunch of like little erotic stories like that, try Kindle Vella. Get some feedback from people and see what they're saying. Put it on Wattpad. I mean, there's different avenues for you to test out what people are going to say about those types of scenes. But trust me, there are kinks out there for everyone. Most of the time when people read romance, they typically expect to have some sort of scenes. As Kennedy Fox, we don't hold back. I would just like to encourage you to release it because there's going to be somebody out there who likes it. We have had people tell us that they have read our books and like had to go and take a cold shower because they couldn't handle it. So that makes me very proud that we have a way with words. That's like getting a virtual high five. Put some erotic stories on Kindle Vella. I promise you, people will read them and they'll be like, oh my God, this was so hot. It was like amazing. I feel like a lot of times that's the hang up with people writing romances. They're like, oh, well, you know, I'm not a prude, but like I want to write this scene and it's like, you know, super hot and I don't want people to judge me. Like at the end of the day, who cares what people think? Just empowering people, and you're empowering women and you're empowering positive sex, and that's how I look at it. So Sally asks, is it difficult to publish under a new pen name when you've already published books under another one? I'd like to experiment with a new genre, but wasn't sure if having 2 Amazon author names is complicated or rather straightforward. Also, if I choose not to do a pen name, how many books do you suggest someone releases into the world before branching out with a new genre? It's very easy to have several pen names under your KDP dashboard. I think there's a limit, but I have no idea what it is because I've only ever had my Lyra Parish dashboard, and then we have a totally different account for Kennedy Fox. But you can add several different pen names and have one KDP dashboard. As far as the second part of the question, I would say that I would not be jumping genres until you are well established in one, because there's this saying that's like, you can be really good at a lot of things but great at one thing or something. I'll probably mess it up because that's how I do with analogies. Once you're established and you have a core base of readers, I think that it's easier for you to create another pen name and know what you need to do to make that pen name successful. You can also tell your current readers about your new pen name in books or whatever, and some of them will come over. When you have several pen names, one of them's going to suffer. Point blank period, one of them will suffer. When Brooke and I were releasing under Kennedy Fox, and then we were also doing Brooke and Lyra books, it was a lot to deal with. It was a lot of social media. It was a lot of different newsletters. It was just a lot of unnecessary work, and those books were contemporary romance that we were writing under Brooke and Lyra, so it would have easily just fit into the Kennedy Fox brand. I'm under the guise of work smarter, not harder, but don't do your current readers a disservice when you possibly could have a series going on and you decide that you want to jump genres before finishing what you started. I like to think that you're established when you've got readers waiting for you who want your books in this specific thing. At that point, you have the ability to test other genres. Like, you have to figure out when you feel like you can take time from one pen name because it's going to continually make you money to work on something else. Because like I said, one of those pen names will suffer. One of them will be put on the back burner while you're working on the other one. And that's just the fact of life. It's hard to keep up with 2. I don't know how some people keep up with 3 or 4. I really don't. You said, how many books do you suggest someone releases into the world before branching out with a new genre? I would say at minimum 10. At minimum 10. I feel like at 10 books you have a core readership, and you know what you're doing once you hit book 10. Like, you know the process that it takes to self-publish. You've made a bunch of mistakes at this point. I'm weary to give a number because there are people who have released 10 books and they just really haven't learned anything. And I feel like when you're creating a new pen name, if you have the built-in experience and have fixed all the mistakes from when you first launched, that new pen name can be a million times better. And that's what happened with Kennedy Fox with us. Me and Brooke released on our own, we made our own mistakes, and then we came together to create Kennedy Fox and essentially skipped ahead of all the growing pains. And that's why I think it was so successful, because we started at 0, but we had the foundation and the knowledge of what needed to be done to create a successful pen name, and we put that into place. So I'm gonna say 10 books, but that's not like a hard in stone number. I just feel like for me at 10 books, I was like, okay, yeah, I really understand this process and how it works and what needs to be done, and I felt like I had the knowledge to be more successful. Okay, so the last questions is coming from Chantel, and there are a lot. So this will probably be the last little section that I do for today, and then we'll go on and announce some giveaway winners. But anyway, the first question is, how would I go about setting up my LLC and all that? Should I come up with a publishing company name for it so that I can set up a bank account? I'm still confused about how all that works or where to even start. Should I make another video about LLCs? I don't know. I get a lot of questions about LLCs, and I think that it's important that you figure out what your goal is for your publishing business. So are you just going to have one pen name? Are you going to have several? Kennedy Fox, me and Brooke know that the only people who are ever going to be published under Kennedy Fox are me and her. I have an LLC for my literary stuff, and it is an umbrella LLC. It's like Happily Ever After something. I'd have to go look it up. I haven't done anything with it, but I do have an LLC for my publishing stuff. And that's if I want to create other pen names outside of Lyra Parish, if I want to a urban fantasy author pen name. So I've got like an LLC that's basically will cover everything that I ever want to write. So it's really personal preference of how you want to set it up. If you know that you will always write under, for example, your real name, and you want your LLC to be like Chantel Writes Books LLC, then you can make it that. It's really whatever you want. You don't need an LLC to go and get a bank account. You can get a doing business as or a assumed name. You'd have to check your state. I don't know where you live. And you can fill out that. That will give you the necessary paperwork to go down to the bank and get a bank account for your business. I would suggest that you talk to a professional. Typically, they will meet with you for 30 minutes, give you a consultation. You can ask your questions, and they can help move you into the right direction, because I don't think everyone needs an LLC right at the beginning, especially depending on your state. In California, it's super, super expensive, and you have to pay yearly fees and all these things like that. So I would go and talk to a professional when it comes to that, because I don't want to tell you to go and create an LLC and then you're spending $700 a year on this, but then you're not really making enough money to cover all of your book expenses and the LLC expense and all of that. I would talk to a professional 100%. I know you explained the bank account setup before, but I'm still kind of lost. Can you explain how we go about setting that up? Yes, so when you create an LLC or a DBA, which is what I have for Lyra Parish, they'll give you a piece of paper, an incorporated or a DBA. For the doing business as, it's got like a stamp from the state of Texas on it that's embossed into my letter. And I can just bring that to the bank and say, hey, I want to open a business account for this. And then I can use that bank account. As far as Kennedy Fox, it's in our LLC name. Me and Brooke are both owners of that bank account. And so we can go in regardless of whatever branch and talk to them. And literally we just brought our paperwork that when we filed our LLC to open up the bank account. Number 3, for an ISBN, if we need them for the different formats of our books, are we able to use those same ones on different sites? Like for example, paperback ISBN, Amazon, and the same ISBN for Barnes & Noble? Yes. And then it says, does that make sense? Absolutely yes. For all of your paperbacks that are like 8x5, the same size, all of that, you're going to want to use the same ISBN. Otherwise, you might have duplicates on Amazon, and that is very annoying to try to get it taken care of. Trust me, we did not use an ISBN on one of our books accidentally, and then I used the ISBN on Ingram Spark, and then we had 2 versions of our paperback on Amazon, and so we had to unpublish one to get that worked out. So yes, absolutely use the same ISBN. So use the same ISBN on all the websites for your ebooks. The next version has its own ISBN. Paperbacks, use that one on Barnes & Noble, Ingram Spark, Amazon, and wherever else you are putting your paperback. Hardcover, if you are using hardcover on Amazon and Ingram Spark and Barnes & Noble, those three things will have the same hardcover ISBN. Next question, what website should I use to build my author website? What would you recommend? We use WordPress self-hosted, and we are hosted by SiteGround. We were at GoDaddy and I had major issues with them. Their servers would go offline, our website would be down. If we had too many people view it because we were doing a sale, it would crash. It was just very slow to load. And so we moved to SiteGround. We use WordPress self-hosted. Everything was kind of like built from scratch. I know there are authors who use places like Wix, but I wanted something that I could completely control and adapt for what we needed and for our growth. And that includes having a shop on our website. I use Elegant Themes, the Divi theme, and then it's kind of like blocks and you can drag and drop things kind of like Wix, I guess. I've never used Wix, but I've heard it's kind of like that. And so it makes it very easy, and you can also buy templates from WordPress or wherever to make your website look a lot cleaner. I like SiteGround. There's also Bluehost. I can't say that I recommend GoDaddy, but you know, Will's website's still hosted there and it works perfectly fine. It's just when you have a lot of traffic, I just would not recommend them whatsoever. The next one is, how do I add page numbers and headers to my pages? I'm writing a book right now and I can't figure out how to add the page numbers or headers that have my name in the title. I use Microsoft Word for reference. So I use Mac and it might be a little bit different, but you have to go to insert header is where it is for me. And also the page numbers are down there as well. I honestly wouldn't add any of that because when you go into formatting, it's going to be completely different, and that just kind of gets in the way when you're trying to do things. But that's my personal opinion. I use Vellum to format. I have a link down below if you're interested in that. It's only a Mac-based program, but if you have Windows, you can use Mac in the cloud to access it. There's also a new one that just released, Articus, but I don't know anything about that. I will never switch from Vellum. I don't care. Vellum has my heart for life. Number 6, on the tax portion of Amazon, should you put your tax information for your business or should you put your personal? Also, if for business, how would I do that? So after you file your LLC or you have a sole proprietorship DBA with your state, you should get an EIN and you would go into the back office and put your EIN that is registered for your business back there. If you do not have an LLC or you do not have a DBA with an EIN, then you would just put your personal information there. Pretty clear cut. Like when it gives you the tax form that you pull up for Amazon, like it's really easy to do. It tells you like business name, contact name, address, phone number, zip code, all of that. It's pretty easy. Can you go into detail step by step on how someone would set up all their business bank accounts in the LLC and an S Corp and stuff around that area? Like, should they make a business name or should they use their name and use that for their business name? I think I just went over this. DBA or LLC, once that's filed, get your EIN for free. Once you have that, go down to the bank with your paperwork, open your account. And that's literally the steps, like either DBA or LLC. I would not transition to an S Corp until your business is extremely profitable. I don't think that it's absolutely necessary at the beginning. And once you set up your LLC, you can change the classifications later. And yeah, I think that's it. It's really, it's not super difficult. And then there's one more question by Chantel, and it says, as a self-published author, do you file your taxes yearly or quarterly basis? How does that work? You should be filing quarterly. I think there are some people who might file yearly, but for our LLC, it is a quarterly filing. I would just like to suggest that you go talk to someone in your state. I do not give legal advice. I do not give tax advice. I do not give business advice. Like, take what I say with a grain of salt because every state is a little bit different and you have to go and talk to someone who knows the laws and regulations and all of that for your county and for your state. And of course we file on a federal level, and federally it's typically the same, but it's different for every single state. So talk to a CPA, go on Facebook, search CPAs in my area, go on the internet, CPAs in my area, look at their Yelp reviews, find somebody who you click with, and then go and have a talk with them, and they will blow your mind with all the information they're going to tell you. You might have a CPA tell you, you know what, you're not making enough money right now to even start an LLC, that it's not going to be profitable for you to do that. You might just want to start with a DBA. I don't know your financial business. I don't have a lot of details regarding what's going on or like how long you've been publishing or any of that. I would definitely recommend talking to someone. Okay, so now it is time to give away our $50 e-gift card to Hello Lovely Box. You guys know that I love Hello Lovely Box, and I love all of the t-shirts that Becca releases and headbands and all of this stuff. Like, it's one of my favorite bookshops. I will put the winner here. Congratulations, you won. I will go back to the video where your comment is. I will pin it below the video, and I will respond asking you for your Instagram or your email, whatever you are comfortable putting on the internet, so I can reach out to you so you can spend your $50 with Hello Lovely Box. You have to let me know what you get, because there's just so much to choose from. And our next giveaway for today is going to be a 3-month subscription to SipsBy. They send me a box every single month. This is my December box. I actually haven't opened it yet. I probably should do that. I love their tea. I need to go and update my profile, because right now I'm trying to really cut back on my caffeine. And so yeah, I want to give one of you guys a 3-month subscription to SipsBy. They are a small business based in Austin, Texas. You basically fill out a profile and they will send teas just for you. Their packaging is always, you know, beautiful. They make sure to give you the muslin cloth tea bags if you have any kind of loose teas like this oolong right here. So with that being said, let's leave another coffee cup emoji down below. I know it's not coffee, but we'll pretend like what's inside of that cup is going to be some tea. If you don't have that emoji, it's totally okay. Like, just let me know in your comment that you want to be entered to win a 3-month subscription to SipsBy. I do not know if they ship internationally. They have been sending me boxes and supporting me and my channel, and so I thought that I would give back to a small Texas-based company. So if you're interested in this, coffee cup emoji down below. Thank you so much for being here. I think that December has really been a good month for me mentally, physically. Guys, I've lost 6 pounds. Just giving you an update. Y'all know that my nephrologist said I need to lose 20 before I see him in May, so I'm right on track. I've just been really taking care of myself, and I feel really good about that. You know, getting started before the new year is always a good thing for me, because I have that all or nothing mentality, and I know I'm not alone in that. So I appreciate you guys so much. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, it doesn't have to be book related. You can ask me really anything. The form is down below in my description, but I appreciate you guys. I hope you have an amazing, incredible week. You accomplish all your goals and you write all the words, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye guys.